Welcome to Twisted Truths, where betrayal meets brutal payback, and where the most unexpected twists expose what people are really capable of. This story isn't just shocking, it's personal. My name is Jeremy Cole. I'm 31. I built a multi-million-dollar cybersecurity firm, from scratch, with no outside investment. Just grit, sleepless nights, and a stubborn refusal to quit. And none of that mattered at Sunday dinner. I should have known something was off. My dad, Ronald Cole, a retired Air Force colonel who ran our family like a forward operating base, called the dinner without explanation. My mom, Lorraine, texted me twice to make sure I'd come. My younger brother, Dean, barely glanced up from his phone when I arrived. But the smug look on his face should have been warning enough. Dad stood at the head of the long mahogany table like he used to during inspections when I was a kid. "Your brother has something important to share," he started, tone already half order, half threat. "He's got a real opportunity this time." Dean grinned, tossing his phone aside. "AI is the future, Jeremy. I've got an investor lined up, but I need a prototype first. 200 grand to get us moving." 200 grand. I set my fork down. No. Silence. Except for the tick of that stupid antique grandfather clock in the hallway. Dean scoffed. "You've got millions sitting around." Dad narrowed his eyes. "Your company exists because of the values I drilled into you. Discipline. Family. Loyalty. So don't sit there acting like this is just business. This is blood." "Family didn't help me build my company," I said. "I ate ramen for a year, maxed out credit cards, coded until my fingers cramped. You didn't invest $1. Dean's burned through 3 startups in 5 years. How is this any different?" Mom tried to speak, to de-escalate. But then Dad stood up. His chair scraped back against the hardwood. "I said family comes first," he barked. "And I won't tolerate disrespect. I'm not selling my company," I said. And then, he hit me. The slap cracked through the air like a gunshot. I tasted blood. My mother gasped. Dean didn't flinch. He just watched. Smirking. Dad stood over me, his hand still raised. "You'll regret this." I folded my napkin slowly, stood, and said, "I won't be back." He didn't follow. Mom didn't beg. Dean didn't blink. That was the moment something inside me broke clean. That slap wasn't about anger, it was about control. Power. Punishment. And they expected me to come crawling back. They didn't realize what I was capable of. They would. After I walked out of that dining room, blood in my mouth and betrayal in my bones, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I sat alone in my apartment, in the same chair where I first built the prototype of Cole SEC from a Craigslist laptop and cheap coffee. But I felt hollow. Like someone had scooped out everything I thought I knew about family and filled it with concrete. I stared at the phone. No messages from Mom. No apologies. Nothing. The only call I made that night was to Marcus, my accountant of 5 years, a former IRS auditor with zero tolerance for shady paperwork. "I want everything locked down," I told him. "Emergency contacts, beneficiaries, backup accounts. I want full separation." He didn't ask questions. Just said, "Understood." Then I called my lawyer. Then Jacob, my business partner and only real friend. Each call brought the same realization closer: this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Dean didn't just want a loan. He wanted my company. He wanted me out of the picture. And Dad? He was willing to lie, manipulate, and even hit me to make that happen. Still, the next morning, I held out some foolish hope that maybe I'd misunderstood something. Maybe it was the heat of the moment. Until Dean showed up at my office. Uninvited. Just hear me out, he said. Dad's cooled off. Mom says we just need to talk. You trespassed into my business, Dean. He waved it off. Come on, man. You've got contracts with the state. I checked your filings. Do you even realize how much potential you're sitting on? You're not thinking big enough. My stomach dropped. You checked my filings. He grinned like he'd just solved world hunger. I needed numbers for the pitch deck. I've got some investors lined up. They just need confirmation you're willing to partner, or sell. Sell. To me. I incorporate a consulting wing. We move into AI security, get the valuation up, and boom, we go public in 2 years. I looked at him for a long moment, the room spinning. You've been planning this. He didn't deny it. You're not even hiding it, I said, stunned. Why should I? We're brothers. This is legacy. Don't make this about pride. It's not about pride, Dean. It's about principle. You've failed every business you've started. And now you want to hijack mine. He smirked. Dad says you're being short-sighted. That was the final straw. Get out. And don't ever step foot in this building again. He didn't yell. Didn't argue. Just gave me a quiet nod and said, you'll change your mind when Mom's medical bills pile up. That hit different. My mom. Lorraine. Quiet, careful, meticulous. If she'd been sick, she would have told me. Right? I picked up the phone. Mom. Are you okay? She hesitated. Of course, sweetheart. Just tired. Your father's making a mountain out of a molehill again. Dad said you had medical bills stacking up. A pause. Then a weak laugh. Oh, Jeremy. I've just got a new prescription that's pricey. We're fine. Her voice wavered. I knew that sound. I'd heard it when she lied to the neighbors about Dean's 4th startup failing. I'd heard it when she told the school nurse my bruises were from roughhousing with Dean, not Dad's belt when I got a B in algebra. She was protecting him again. I hung up and stared at the wall. This wasn't just a bad night. This was war. That evening, I received a text from Dean. If you don't do this, you're choosing your ego over family. Don't come crying when Mom gets worse. He was weaponizing her now. That's when the despair fully set in, not because of what they wanted, but because I realized exactly who they were. They didn't see me as family. They saw me as a resource. A bank account. A tool. They weren't going to stop. Unless I made them. The thing about betrayal is it doesn't always hit you like a sledgehammer. Sometimes, it trickles in, quiet, systematic, deliberate, like water eroding rock. And suddenly, you're standing in rubble, wondering when everything started to collapse. It was Marcus who called me at 9 a.m. that Thursday with the first real warning. Jeremy, he said. Someone's been snooping around your records. My spine stiffened. What kind of snooping? Legal inquiries. But, surgical. Professional. Whoever it is, they knew exactly what to ask for and how to get it fast. Business registration records. Tax filings. Incorporation details. All requested through official channels. One request after another, starting Monday morning. I stared at my computer screen, unable to speak. That's not the worst of it, he continued. The company making those requests. Crawford Consulting Solutions. My heart dropped. Crawford. Our family name. I nearly dropped the phone. Dean doesn't have a consulting firm. He does now. He incorporated it Monday morning. Address is your parents' house. That was 2 days after the dinner. Which meant the moment I left with a split lip, they filed paperwork to create a new company. Probably using my name, my contracts, my reputation. It wasn't a pitch anymore. It was a takeover. And they were already preparing. That evening, I received another call, this time from one of my oldest clients at Bramble Industries. "Hey Jeremy, just checking, are you doing an internal audit through a third-party firm now?" "No." "Why?" "Because a guy called claiming to be your external compliance liaison. Said he was running a security check. Asked about our renewal terms." I almost vomited. I hung up, called Jacob, and told him everything. By the time I finished, he was white as a sheet. "This is industrial espionage," he said. "Sabotage. They're impersonating your company to discredit it, so clients lose faith. Which would tank our value," I whispered. "And force a panic sale." He nodded grimly. "Exactly. That's when I remembered Dean's words. You're sitting on millions. This should be automatic." No. This was never about pitching an idea. They were gutting my life's work from the inside out. I sat at my kitchen table that night, same table where I used to debug code at 2 a.m., and tried to process it all. Dean had built a fake company. Filed state documents. Contacted clients. All while hiding behind family loyalty. And Dad? Oh, I didn't doubt for a second that he was behind this too. Military intelligence. Logistics training. He'd planned plenty of covert operations in his day. This felt no different. Then came the final punch to the gut. Friday morning, Marcus forwarded a message from a so-called investment firm expressing interest in acquiring my company. Their email was polished. They had all my numbers, down to the salaries of my junior developers. I hadn't shared those figures with anyone outside my accountant and Jacob. They had internal access, Marcus confirmed. Or someone who knew where to look. I knew then. Dean hadn't just stolen data. He'd memorized it. Pulled it from our conversations. Dug through every inch of my life while smiling across the table. And they were using it to destroy me. There was only one way to stop them. I had to disappear. I always thought revenge was about fury. About burning bridges, screaming matches, and slamming doors. But in that moment, as I sat in my apartment surrounded by the wreckage of my trust, I didn't feel rage. I felt clarity. This wasn't about getting even. This was about getting free. I'd spent years building Cole SEC with precision. I knew how to plan, how to think 10 steps ahead. My father may have trained soldiers, but I trained myself in survival. In silence. In systems. And now I was going to turn that training on them. Step 1, go dark. I called Patricia Hoffman at Nexra Labs, the same firm that had made a $42 million acquisition offer 6 months ago. "Is the offer still on the table?" I asked. She didn't hesitate. "You're serious this time?" "I'm beyond serious." Within hours, her legal team had drawn up fresh terms. I didn't tell Jacob at first. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I didn't want him caught in the blast radius of what was coming. I needed this to be clean. Fast. Untraceable. Patricia's terms were airtight. Full exclusivity. No announcements until close. Complete confidentiality. Perfect. Step 2, cut all emotional access. I changed my phone number, rerouted all business email through legal channels, and removed my parents and Dean from every document, login, and internal system they might have known. They couldn't guilt me anymore. Couldn't sweet-talk me. Couldn't manipulate me with mom's fake medical bills or dad's threats. I would give them nothing. Step 3, relocate. Victoria, British Columbia. A quiet city with a strong tech presence, close enough to Seattle for business, but far enough to vanish. I booked a one-way flight for the Monday after the deal would close. No forwarding address. No goodbye dinner. Just silence. That weekend, I told Jacob everything. "You're really doing this?" he asked, eyes wide. "They tried to take everything from me, Jacob. They crossed every line." "What about legal action? Restraining orders? Lawsuits?" I shook my head. "You think that ends clean? That just makes it louder. Messier. More public. They'll spin it. Play the family card. But if I sell the company quietly and disappear? They're left with nothing but the sound of their own betrayal." He nodded slowly. "Then I'm in. Whatever you need." We met with Patricia Monday morning. Final due diligence. They would wire the money within 5 days of signature. But until then, everything had to remain silent. By Thursday, I'd packed up my apartment. 4 boxes. 1 suitcase. My whole life reduced to essentials. My phone buzzed constantly, texts from Dean, voicemails from Dad, vague messages from Mom like, "We miss you. Your brother just needs a chance. Please don't destroy this family." I ignored them all. Friday morning, I signed the purchase agreement. By that afternoon, I had $42 million in my account and a one-way ticket to a life where their reach couldn't touch me. But I wasn't done. Before I left, I scheduled an email. To Mom. To Dad. To Dean. It was short. Cold. Coal SEC has been sold. I'm relocating permanently. Do not attempt to contact me through business channels or legal representatives. This decision is final. Jeremy. I set it to send Monday morning, exactly 1 hour before Nexra's acquisition announcement hit every major business journal in the Southeast. Then I closed my laptop, zipped my suitcase, and walked away. The storm was coming. And I wouldn't be around to hear them scream. The taxi pulled away from the curb at Charlotte Douglas International Airport, and I didn't look back. My phone was wiped. My number was new. My name wouldn't appear on the next version of Coal SEC's leadership page. I was, for all intents and purposes, gone. And back in Charlotte? They had no idea yet. That Friday morning, just hours after I'd signed the final paperwork, Nexra's legal team began preparing the official press release for Monday at 10 a.m., the public unveiling of their newest acquisition, a growing cybersecurity firm founded by a visionary technologist. No mention of me. That was the deal. And that was the plan. Because I wanted the first time my father, Dean, and mother realized what I'd done, to be when the entire city did. I landed in Vancouver Saturday night. Cool air, misty sky, and the kind of quiet that soothes the soul. My Airbnb overlooked the harbor. I sat by the window, sipping tea and watching ferries come and go. I hadn't felt that kind of peace in years. But I knew it wouldn't last. Because the moment that press release dropped, chaos would follow. Monday, 9 a.m., my email went out to the family. Coal SEC has been sold. I'm relocating permanently. Do not attempt to contact me through business channels or legal representatives. This decision is final. Jeremy. At 10 a.m., the press release hit. Nexra Labs acquires Coal SEC cybersecurity for $42 million. By 10:17 a.m., Jacob texted me. Holy hell, your dad just showed up at the office. 10:25 a.m. He's demanding answers. Shouting at reception. 10:32 a.m. Dean is outside. He brought printed copies of some proposal. I think he thought he was pitching to the new owners. I didn't respond. Just smiled. They'd finally realized they had no more leverage. No more control. And I was unreachable. Later that evening, Jacob filled me in. They tried everything, he said during our video call. Your dad told the front desk he was your business partner. That he was owed an explanation. He even flashed his Air Force credentials like this was some kind of military op. What did you say? I reminded him that Cole SEC was under new ownership, and I no longer had any authority to disclose company details. And Dean begged, pleaded, then got angry. Said he was supposed to be part of the next phase. Said he'd built this with you. I couldn't help it, I laughed. He built it with me. He built nothing. Exactly. Jacob paused. They looked, destroyed, man. Totally blindsided. Good. Jeremy, you sure about all this? You're not just walking away from them, you're erasing yourself. I took a breath and said what I hadn't said out loud yet. I'm not erasing myself. I'm finally choosing myself. And I meant it. This wasn't some petty act of revenge. This was survival. This was self-preservation. After a lifetime of sacrifice, obedience, and guilt, I had finally cut the cord. Back in Victoria, I spent my days setting up a small consulting practice under a new name. No fanfare. Just me, a few high-end clients, and code I actually enjoyed writing again. The noise, the pressure, the dysfunction, all gone. But the fallout back home? That was just beginning. 2 weeks after the sale, I received a forwarded email from my attorney. It was from Mom. Jeremy, I don't know if this will reach you. Your father's furious. Dean is, well, he's unraveling. He said he was promised a future. I don't know what's happening. Please, if you're safe, just let me know. That's all I ask. That should have been the end of it. But the human heart doesn't work like code. It doesn't just shut down because you've locked the door. I stared at her email for a long time. And then I did something I hadn't planned on doing. I dug. I still had limited access to Cole SEC systems, just until the final transfer of ownership completed. In the back-end archive, I pulled Dean's email address. What I found made my stomach turn. The week before the sale, Dean had been sending fake pitch decks to Nexera's junior analysts. He used a copycat domain, coleseccorp.com, not colesec.com. He pretended to be me. Claimed I was exploring a dual acquisition for another AI-focused subsidiary. He tried to hijack the buyer. And Nexera almost fell for it. Almost. They flagged the emails during their internal review and sent them to their legal department. Which meant I had a paper trail. Proof. I had been ready to leave in silence. But now, I realized silence would be a kindness. Dean and Dad hadn't just tried to take my company. They tried to sabotage the sale. That wasn't just betrayal. That was fraud. So I called Patricia at Nexera. I need a favor, I said. Or rather, a protection. Jeremy, she said carefully, we already flagged the impersonation. Our legal team is handling it. I want you to press charges. Silence. Then, are you sure? Once this goes public, there's no going back. I'm sure. If they're willing to impersonate me for profit, what do you think they'll do to their next victim? It won't stop unless someone draws blood. She paused. Then, all right. I'll notify legal. I hung up and felt nothing. Not relief. Not guilt. Just cold resolve. 3 days later, Dean was served with a cease and desist order, and noticed that Nexera Labs had filed a complaint with the North Carolina Secretary of State for fraudulent business misrepresentation. Dean's fake company, Crawford Consulting Solutions, was forcibly dissolved. But that wasn't the twist. The twist came a week later when a federal investigator showed up at my attorney's office. Apparently, one of Dean's investor contacts, the one he'd claimed was interested in matching my supposed contribution, was already under investigation for securities fraud. And Dean, by falsely claiming ownership of Cole SEC's valuation and contracts, had unknowingly implicated himself. He hadn't just lied to steal my company. He'd lied on record, to people already on the government's radar. Now the feds were watching. And not just him. Dad, too. Because the incorporation papers of Crawford Consulting had his signature as a strategic advisor. And suddenly, that Air Force pension didn't protect him anymore. They had turned their betrayal into a ticking legal time bomb, and they'd lit the fuse themselves. I didn't gloat. I didn't call them. But I did one thing. I sent Mom one final email. You wanted to know if I was safe. I am. But you need to ask yourself something. When did protecting Dean become worth losing your other son? Jeremy. She never replied. But Jacob called me 2 weeks later with news. Dean's startup is done. The investors pulled out. Your dad tried calling every contact he had to stop the investigation, but it's federal now. They're out of moves. Finally, after all those years of control, my father was powerless. And Dean? He was broke. Reputation ruined. Legally barred from opening any business under the Crawford name. They hadn't just lost access to my company. They'd lost everything. I used to dream about confronting them. About walking back into that dining room, head high, laying down every document, every receipt, every betrayal, and watching the realization sink into their eyes. But the truth is, real justice doesn't need a stage. It just needs silence. It's been 6 months now. I live in a quiet house on a hill in Victoria, overlooking the harbor. The mornings are calm, the air crisp. I wake when I want. I work when I feel like it. There's no noise, no guilt, no angry footsteps echoing down a hallway reminding me of who I was supposed to be. Cole SEC, under Nexera, is thriving. Jacob stayed on as regional director and gives me the occasional update, just enough to know that the company is in good hands. As for them, Dean's accounts were frozen during the investigation. He tried to claim innocence, but the paper trail was too precise. Every impersonated email. Every phony investor document. Every contract he copied from my system. He was charged with fraud. No prison time, but heavy restitution, legal restrictions, and his name publicly tied to scandal. His entrepreneurial vision has been reduced to a cautionary tale in local business circles. Dad? He retired from public life. Word is, the Air Force Veterans Board took interest in the legal inquiries and the ethics complaints that followed. Whatever image he tried to preserve, honor, discipline, legacy, it cracked. He called my attorney once. Said he just wanted to talk. I declined. And Mom? I don't know. She never wrote again. Maybe she's still protecting the image of the family she tried to preserve. Or maybe, she finally understood who she'd let control her life, and silence her son. Either way, I'm done waiting. I didn't seek revenge out of hate. I sought distance out of survival. Because sometimes, justice isn't about striking back. It's about cutting the strings they use to control you, and letting them unravel themselves. In the end, truth has a way of surfacing, even if it comes twisted through pain and betrayal. As one wise voice once said, sometimes your greatest enemy was once your closest ally. If this story struck a chord with you, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and spread the word, because justice deserves to be heard.